right, well, thanks guys for coming here. It is so exciting to have Charles Mulemena with us. He has 5 kids and a wife back in Belize, and he has been traveling around visiting different conferences and different churches in the United States for the past 2 months. So we are his last stop up here in New York, and he just finished seeing about 3 or 4 churches in Albany area, and we're his only stop out here in Syracuse area, so it's really exciting to have him with us. I just met him a few minutes ago, and I think we're new best friends. So I'm very excited to hear about his ministry. I've only read about it, but I'm really excited to share this time with him. As you guys may know, through the United Methodist Church, we are connected in mission all over the world because of people like Charles who serve as missionaries. So we have over 200 global missionaries, and every once in a while, every 3 years, they get to take a little break from missionary service and come and visit all the churches that support him. So you'll see there's a paper here in the back. I just want to make sure you guys all have this information because as United Methodists, we have a great opportunity to support missionaries, both financially and with our prayers. So this is a little bit about missionary service covenant partner relationships. You can be in a covenant with any of our 200 missionaries, including Charles, as an individual, as a small group, or as a church. So I just want to make sure you all have this great information in case this is something you're praying about and thinking is the next step for you. So I won't give away too much about what Charles has to say. Come on up, Charles.
All right. Good evening. What a joy to be together this evening to be able to share in what God is doing, not only here in the United States, but also in Belize and around the world. As Christine has mentioned, I'm Charles Mulemena. An ordained elder in the United Methodist Church, Zambia Annual Conference. My wife, Barbara, and I have served in our annual conference for 9 years as pastors, and also I was director of a mission center for the United Methodist Church in Zambia for those 9 years. So I was on one hand serving a church, and on the other hand also directing the mission center. I know. And then 10 years ago, we also answered to another call, a missionary call to go on the mission field with the General Board of Global Ministries, and we said yes, and we were sent to the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. And we served there for about 4 years, and then 6 years ago, we were transferred to Belize. Belize is in Central America, and it is one little country that is so tiny but so beautiful and with wonderful people, and we speak English in Belize, by the way. The only Central American country that speaks English, and we also have 7 other languages that are spoken in Belize, and Spanish being the second major language. So the presentation you see here is all based in Belize, nothing from Brazil. All is about Belize. So my wife and I serve with the Methodist Church in the Caribbean and Americas, MCCA. It is a church that, it's a Methodist church that was planted and led by the British Methodists for over 200 years. And some 50 years ago, they were able to relinquish their leadership over the Methodist Church in the Caribbean and Americas. And now the local people are the ones that are leading and running the church. And so that's where we are as United Methodist missionaries serving in the Methodist Church in the Caribbean and Americas. All right? Next. All right. Christine was just sharing with you about, covenant relationships. And usually, as you covenant with us or as you choose to support us in any way financially, you are able to go online, and every missionary in the United Methodist Church is assigned an advance number, which you see under my name over there, advance number. Every United Methodist missionary has it. And so what happens is when you choose me as your missionary and you begin to support me financially, the donations that you give goes into a missionary pool. So in you choosing me and supporting me, you are not only supporting this one missionary of yours, but you are supporting all our United Methodist missionaries around the world. You know, when I speak to people, they say, no, but we want only to support you. We have chosen you, not every missionary. The goodness of the United Methodist way of doing mission work is that our first 3 years, for example, serving in the Amazon rainforest as missionaries, we only managed to raise like $2,300 in 3 years. You can imagine if we were only depending on what we were fundraising to be able to, buy food, rent a house, pay for health needs, and stuff like that, and also at the same time do ministry. It was going to be impossible to do it. But because of the way our system works, other missionaries that were raising more money, that money would go in the same missionary pool, and we who didn't have enough partnership and support would still benefit, and we are on an even place. So it promotes equality among the missionaries wherever they are, and no matter how few mission partners they have or how many mission partners they have, they are able to stay on the mission field and serve God and serve the communities where they have been assigned. So, yes, you have chosen me, but in supporting me, you are also supporting many other missionaries within the United Methodist Church, the General Board of Global Ministries. All right, next. That's that beautiful person you see next to me is my wife, Barbara. She's the one who takes, very good care of me, and without her, I'm really disoriented, very disorganized. She makes sure that, I'm walking in the right direction, and I'm thankful to God for her. Without her, my life is a mess. So, all right. I mentioned earlier that both of us are born and raised in Zambia, and we have served as ministers in Zambia, and God has blessed us with 5 kids. So I'm praying that Christine and Bryant also will have 10 of them. So 5 kids, 3 boys and 2 girls, 14, 11, 9, 7, and the other one is just 18 months. All right. Next. All right, when you look at your upper left on the maps, the 2 maps that are above, the upper left is the map of Belize. It looks big because it is by itself, but when you look on the world map, which is on the upper right, it is that little purple thing over there. I don't even know whether you can see it. It is so tiny, and the population is just a little over 400,000 people in the whole country. And it's cool because there's not so much things going on, and it is so peaceful and so, nice to be in that nation. And so we are neighbors with Mexico and Guatemala, and the rest of the country is surrounded by the Caribbean Sea. As a matter of fact, our property, the church properties for Corozal Methodist, is just by the sea. So the Methodist Church in the Caribbean and Americas has been in place for over 230 or so, 250 years. As a matter of fact, it's older than the Methodist Church in the United States. But in Belize, we just celebrated 200 years this past Sunday. The first missionary who came from England to plant the Methodist Church in Belize came in 1825. So last Sunday was Orders Gate Sunday, and so all our churches in the whole country went to the capital city of Belize, and that's where they had a big service, and they marched in the capital of Belize, and they did celebrate. Unfortunately, I missed it. I was here. And in the Corozal district or Corozal circuit, where my wife and I are serving, the church is 189 years old. Even though Belize as Methodist is 200 years, Corozal circuit is 189 years old. And so we serve two Methodist congregations, namely the Corozal Methodist Church and the Libertad Methodist Church. And those churches also have schools attached to them. And this year, for example, we have 653 students between our two schools. And the schools, the churches are 7 miles apart. So, we have service at 8 at Corozal Methodist, and then another service at 10 at Libertad Methodist. So the ride from Corozal to Libertad is a smooth ride. There's no traffic like you have it here. So you can drive from one place to the other with your eyes closed and still make it to your destination. That's how smooth it is. All right. Next. Okay, the two photos that you see on my left, on my far left, is actually, the upper one is Corozal Methodist Church compound. As you can see, we are right by the Caribbean Sea. The water usually looks so blue, like those stained glasses. But this was the hurricane season, so the water was messed up by the rain. And the one on the bottom is Libertad Methodist Church compound, where the school also is. As you can see in the other photos, you see police officers. We do not just serve the Methodist members, we serve the community. When my bishop back home was ordaining us as young ministers, he emphasized that as Methodist preachers, when you are sent to a church, you are not going there to serve the Methodist congregation only. You are going there as a minister for the entire community. And so go and serve the community. Don't just focus yourself in a shallow and narrow way of service, serving only the Methodist members. And so we do hold, annual church services for our men and women in uniform, just to be able to, thank them and appreciate them and let them know that we care, that we appreciate what they do, and we pray with them and we pray over them, knowing that God is protecting them in their service as well. We also provide, glossaries and healthcare needs, support to the people in need around us, and we do other social activities to be able to, serve our communities.
Excuse me.
Sure.
There's a white Subaru parked in a fire lane, and it's dangerous if there's a fire. I don't know, and people can't get out of parking there, so I didn't know if it was somebody in this group or not. Thank you.
All right. So, all right. Next. Sure, all right. You see students in there. As a pastor of these two congregations and superintendent of the two schools, one of my responsibilities every week is to be able to offer some spiritual formation to the students and staff. So on Tuesdays, I go to Crozal Methodist School and have devotion with the staff from 8 to 8:30, and then from 8:30 to 9, I have devotion with the students, the lower division of the students at Crozal Methodist School and their teachers and their parents sometimes. And then on Wednesday, I go to Libertad Methodist School. I do the same. On Thursday, I come back to Corozal and I do the upper division, meaning the fourth graders all the way to 8th grade. The lower division are preschool all the way to 3rd grade. And so that is part of my responsibility, because we are not just providing an education, but we are also providing the spiritual support for these kids. Some of them, come from homes where their parents or their families don't go to church and they have no relationship with God in any way. And so when they come to school, that's the only place where they also interact with God's word and build a relationship with God. One thing that you may not be aware, Belize has, a certain kind of relationship between the government and the church, which is unique only to Belize. I've been to many countries around the world and have only discovered that this is something that is only in Belize. So most of the schools in Belize are owned and run by the churches. So the church owns the schools, like maybe 70 to 75% of the school is owned and run by this church. And then some 25% is owned and run by the government. So the church has a lot to do with the society, with the communities, to interact with the community because of this access to the students and the families of these students and the staff that works with the schools. Sure. We have many other denominations. For example, in running the schools, the majority are Methodists, Catholics, Seventh-day Adventists, Presbyterians, and the Nazarene. So those 5 denominations are pretty much the ones that have more influence on the education system. Yes, they have schools in all the communities. You find schools that are owned by those 5 especially. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, next. In the photos you see, 6 years ago when we came to Belize, my wife and I discovered that our churches, both of them, had only the adults in our services. Some of these adults also were, young adults or middle-aged adults who had children, but they were not bringing them to church. They would come to church without their children or without their grandchildren. And we thought, well, if the church is to thrive and survive longer than now, then we need to have all ages in our churches, because there's so much wisdom and experience that the senior citizens have over the years, and we cannot lose that. We need to, transmit it to generations that are coming after us so that the church continues to be relevant. And so we've been praying for, it took us 3 years, because when we came a few months later, COVID came and we went in a lockdown, and it took us like 2 years in a lockdown. You guys were like, just for 1 year. For us, it took 2 years, even though we didn't have a lot of cases of COVID in Belize. And so it took us 3 years to be able to reach a point where we finally started a youth ministry at Libertad Methodist Church. We started with 12, and this year in March we were celebrating our 3rd anniversary of the ministry, of the youth ministry, and we have 34 youths already in 3 years. And so we are praying that we find, volunteers who can work with the young people at Corozal Methodist as well, so that we can also begin this same ministry at Corozal. And by having the young people involved in the life of the church and not just let them come, they are the ones that read scriptures on Sunday morning, they collect the offering, they do all sorts of things. We don't want to keep them, just in the pews. We want them to feel part of, and that should be the case with every church. And so we are praying that by the end of this year, we would also start another youth ministry at Corozal. Now, one thing my wife and I have realized is that we have a challenge with space, because both at Corozal and at Libertad, we only have the sanctuaries, and they are good for Sunday worship service. But, you may not understand this. The young people feel cumbersome during the course of the week when they come for their activities, their church activities, only to sit in pews like that, and they're watching the cross, ahead of them, and they love the cross, but they don't want to be in pews like this during the course of the week as they do their activities. And so we have found this piece of land which is actually between the two churches, and we want to establish a youth resource center where they can be meeting and do all kinds of fun stuff, and also intentionally carry out the spiritual formation at the youth resource center. One thing about education these days is that, when kids are given homeworks and projects, instead of giving them books to go and read in order to do their homeworks, they actually give them links, internet links to guide them to some place where they can find that information. And most of these kids come from homes where they don't have access to a computer and they don't have access to internet. So as part of the establishment of the youth resource center, we also want to put up a computer library, a computer lab at that place, where we can have computers and kids can come and do their school homework and projects right there, and also have a sports sports facility for basketball and volleyball, and they can do those things at that same place. So it is a place of spiritual formation, adventure, fun, and also learning and growing. And we, John Wesley has taught us that we do not, meet the needs of people just in the spiritual sense, but we meet the needs of people as a whole. deal with their spiritual needs and also social, economical needs and all those things. And that's what we are aiming for. When we empower these young people, we are empowering the church, we are growing the church, and we are assured of the future of the church and the growth of the church at the same time. All right? So pray with us that, God provides the resources for establishing this resource center. All right, next. How can you be part of, doing what God is doing in Belize? How can you be involved with us? Number one is by praying. There are things that we can do as human beings, but there are many things that we cannot do. But when we pray, God will do it. And so we ask for your prayers to pray for us as your missionaries, and to pray for the communities we serve, and to pray that God moves in those communities. That is number one. Number two, you can be involved by mobilizing mission teams and come and visit us in Belize. Come and get your hands dirty in Belize by working with us, maybe by painting a classroom or repairing, part of the structures of the school, or indeed teaching the students in class, or indeed empowering the youth by training them in some skills. Feel free to be able to mobilize those mission trips and come visit us. And we'll take you for scuba diving and, snorkeling and doing all the fun stuff. Yeah. And the other way of, getting involved with us is also financially, supporting us. With Global Ministries as an agent of the United Methodist Church, recruits, trains, sends, and supports missionaries all over the world. But you know what? They cannot do it without you. It is because of the apportionment that this church sends to the conference every year that Global Ministries is able to do all those things. And also, it is because you have chosen to sign a covenant relationship, and you are intentional as a church that we are going to support Charles in Belize and the mission in Belize, and you send that money to Global Ministries, and Global Ministries keeps training more missionaries and sending more missionaries and supporting more missionaries. And so we need, your dollar support as well. And I tell people, when you support mission work, you are not doing charity work. You are actually given an opportunity to be involved in what God is doing. And the joy of being part of God's agenda is just priceless. And so it is a lot of fun. The other thing is the United Methodist churches around the world do what they call mission events or mission weekends. When you guys do mission weekends, please feel free to invite us. Don't wait only for us to come when Global Ministries sends us here, but you can actually invite me and I can come anytime, as long as you have notified me and you have let me know in advance, so that I can also ask my local bishop for permission that I'm going to a missions event and I will be here. That is one way of interacting and supporting each other. Also, we have students that come from different parts of the world within Central America, within Belize. So we have, a lot of families in Corozal that come from Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Mexico, and Honduras. And so we have a lot of students that come from those families, and most of them cannot afford to support these kids. Most of these families cannot afford to support their kids even for lunches. So when my wife and I came to Belize, we realized, I was actually going through the school to monitor what is going on in their classes, how they are learning, how things are going. And during lunch, I saw some kids sitting in the corridor while several kids were in the cafeteria eating. And so I asked the principal, what is going on? These kids are not eating. She told me it's because they didn't come with a packed lunch and they don't have the money to buy lunch from the cafeteria. And that, to me, hit me home, because I grew up in such environments. Back home in Zambia, growing up, because I was raised as an orphan. My mom died when I was 1.5 years old. So my older brother, our oldest sibling, took care of me and my immediate sister, because he didn't want our dad to raise us as a single dad, because he was married already, so he had a home and he just started his career as a military officer. So he took responsibility over us instead of having our dad take care of us as little babies. So I went to school without breakfast, and I stayed in school without lunch. We would start our classes at 7:30 and end our classes at 4. And during lunchtime, I would sit, in class and write my homework if I had any homework. If there's no homework, if there's any notes that I haven't gone through yet, I would begin to review my notes and read them, study during that lunch break, because I wanted to focus on something important instead of listening to my empty stomach. And it was not a fun thing to experience as a kid. And so when I heard the principal tell me that, and I saw those kids, I saw me. I saw myself. So my whole experience became so fresh. And I told the principal that, tell your teachers to make a list, to identify those kids in their classes, and then give me a list. And I went to Libertad Methodist. I told the principal the same. And I got a list of 32 kids that needed lunches. And I went back home to my wife and I was like, honey, we have a challenge, but this challenge is also an opportunity for us to serve. We have one pay, one salary, and it's not a major salary, it's a missionary salary. I wish it was like the salary for Elon Musk, but it is not. And so I told my wife that I know how little we earn, but I know how much we need to share it with these kids, because I experienced it firsthand and I don't want them to experience it at all. But then we looked at the number, it was too big for us to even manage. So we chose to start somewhere, and we started with 5, and we provided them with lunches every day for 4 months. And then a mission team from Georgia came, and the pastor there, who was a mission team leader, was actually a former employee of Global Ministries, who understood how little the missionaries get paid. And when she knew that we were the ones supporting those children with lunch, I was like, where are you getting the money? I said, from our salary. I said, no, you can't do that. I said, yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can share it. And so she went back home and mobilized her church, and they started raising funds to be able to send to us. And we were able, in 6 months, we were able to put every one of those 32 kids on the lunch program. And the following academic year, the number grew to 46. And the number is bigger and higher, but we have kept 46 because of the resources. So we keep those 46 for the past 5 years, 46 every academic year. We are feeding them every day without having any of them starving. We still have some on the waiting list every academic year. So when the 8th graders graduate, we see the numbers that have graduated, and we get those from the waiting list and we put them on this active list, and we continue with 46 as our magical number for now. And so we can do more. And if God, uses this church or you as individuals, as families, to be able to sponsor some of these kids with lunches, maybe for a week or for a day, it's $1.60 per plate per child. And a child will have lunch. All right, next. Good. That was just one of the mission teams that came last year from Oklahoma. And usually when mission teams come, the days of devotion, I don't like to lead it myself because the kids have seen enough of me, and I give them an opportunity to have a mission team lead the devotion so that the kids have another new experience with new people. Again, that is information about the advance project, advance number, where you can pay a check to, and the link which under the statement to give online visit, that link also can be found. I have business cards here where you can just scan, and it will take you straight to Global Ministries page, and it will to Global Ministries website, and it will take you straight to my page under the Global Ministries website. And next. All right, those are just pictures of me and my family, and from Barbara and our 5 energetic kids and I, we say thank you so much for your prayers, for your support, and indeed for being able to partner with us as your missionaries. As we serve in Belize, we know that we are not alone in Belize. We are with you all. Whatever God is doing in Belize, He's not doing it just with us that are there in person, but He's doing it with all of us. And thank you once again, and please feel free to ask questions. How many more minutes do you have before the meeting?
20 minutes.
All right. Thank you. Yes, please. Only my hosts have the questions, right? All right. Global Ministries is actually our umbrella agency of the United Methodist Church that takes care of everything else, including AMCO. So AMCO is under the umbrella of Global Ministries. So that is one branch of the Global Ministries. There are branches that deal with missionaries, and branches that deal with disaster recovery and all those things. And there are branches that deal with only finances for projects and programs and missionaries and stuff like that. So there are many departments under the Global Ministries. Yes.
What happens after 8th grade? You are not involved
Okay, thank you so much for that question. In every district, we are involved with elementary, from preschool all the way to mid-school. And when they go to high school, there are places where we have high schools owned by the Methodist Church, but they are very few. And then in our place in Corozal, we have an ecumenical high school that is part of us. So the Methodists, the Catholics, and the Anglicans, 3 denominations are proprietors of that one high school. And then we have other high schools that are owned by other, denominations. Yes, please.
You referred to your church as being a compound. Is that for safety? Are you threatened at all by activities outside the compound?
All right, thank you. The compound is for security, especially that is a school. It is usually protected, and for the sake of preventing unwanted intruders on the compound, for the safety of the kids especially. And so our whole church property is in a fence. So the church, the school, and the parsonage is right there in one place. So Belize is one of those places that are safe in the whole Central America. It's peaceful, and that's why we have a lot of other migrant families from other countries, the 5 countries that I talked about, come to Belize. Even though the poverty levels are almost the same, but the level of peace and tranquility is unique to Belize. Yeah. Crime and violence and stuff like that, not as much as you can compare it with other Central American countries. Yes. That's a good question. As a matter of fact, I will tell you that I never wanted to become missionary at all. Because when I reached the 5th grade going up, I was exposed to global history and global politics. We started learning that. And one thing I learned was that the missionaries, the early missionaries, a big chunk of them were sent by their government to go to Zambia and to the US and the other parts of the world from Europe. And as they came and they lived among people with the Bible, they preached the gospel, but what they did was also to transmit information about the local people, the structures, the politics of the local people, the cultures, and all those things, and they were sending that information to their governments. And it was because of that information that their governments came and colonized us. And so to me, when I learned that, I knew that missionaries were traitors, and I didn't want to become a traitor at all. But growing up as a PK, I grew up in church, so I got exposed to new missionaries that were far away from that kind of attitude and character and behavior. They were good missionaries, and they inspired hope, and they inspired freedom and liberties. And so I realized that, okay, those were missionaries of the past. And even in the past, we had very good missionaries, a good percentage of them. But the majority of a bigger percentage of the missionaries were indeed, puppets of their masters, and they served their masters' interests. And they did everything to be able to oppress the local people. For example, my first name is Charles. That name to me as an African has no meaning, right? But to the Europeans, the missionaries that came, Charles was Christian. Charles was holy. Charles was divine. Charles was connected to God. If they called me with my African name, it is more demonic. It is more evil. And so the missionaries of the olden days would not even allow the Africans to beat drums in church because it was evil. You needed to have, a keyboard, an organ, a guitar, something that came from Europe is more holy and Christian than something that is African. So that is the kind of theology and Christianity they brought to places where we were. And so now there's nothing like that. Anybody can become a missionary. And you may be aware that even with the United Methodist Church, before we became united, 1964, we were a whole lot of Methodist brethren, evangelical and all that, and we came together in 1964 and we became United Methodist Church. And so we as Methodists also, the missionaries pretty much came, originally they came from Europe and they came to the Americas. And when they came here after the death of John Wesley, most of our missionaries now began to come from America, from the United States, to go to the rest of the world. And that also created some, interesting debates, because it looked like, the U.S. was the residence of God. He had an address here, and he had to pack his bag and get on a plane and travel to some places to visit and then come back to the U.S. And that is not our God. Our God is bigger than that. And so 25 years ago, the United Methodist Church developed, through the global ministries, developed a theology called From Everywhere to Everywhere. And that is the theology that we began to implement 25 years ago, that missionaries will come from anywhere in the world or everywhere in the world and be sent to everywhere in the world. Even though that was implemented in theory and on paper, we began to train missionaries, of course, from other regions, but we would send them back to their regions. Well, when we trained the U.S. missionaries, we sent them all over the world. And then 15 years ago, that's when really the full implementation of that started happening. Missionaries would be recruited from all over the world and be sent to all over the world. And so everyone in the United Methodist Church or other denominations can become missionaries with the United Methodist Church, with the global ministries. You don't have to be a preacher. You don't have to be a doctor. You can be anything and still serve as a missionary. And if you have had that call, you can actually go ahead and talk to your pastor, and he will be able to help you through that process and connect you. Actually, Christine is here. Your pastor doesn't even know most of the things, maybe. Christine, who works directly with Global Ministries, is here. She's the right person who will connect you to how to go about the application to become a missionary. But anyone who is hearing the call can answer to that call, being laity or clergy. Exactly. That's why it is a call. And you hear the call and you answer, you respond to that call. Like in my case, I was a no. But when God calls you, even when you say no, his yes has to be fulfilled. Yeah. God works in mysterious ways. And sometimes I say God works in mischievous ways. Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you so much for that wonderful question. The greatest need at the moment, top of the list, is establishing that youth resource center because it is central to the growth of the church and to the continuity of the church. And if we can get young people on fire for God and love the church, and that will actually be a game changer to the church. And the other need is actually with the schools. We have a lot of needy students that need a lot of support, both with their school fees. We don't charge tuition fees. We only charge registration fees, which is just $50 Belize per year, and that is $25 US per year. But we have like 60% of our students who cannot afford that the whole year. And so that is another need, because with them not paying that, $25 a year, it keeps us, hanging with, the needs to repair the classroom blocks and stuff like that, and keep the school in a shape that is a conducive learning environment. It is quite a big challenge. And that's why we love when, mission teams come, because things that we were supposed to pay a contractor, the mission team does it, and then they come with the funds and they spend on the materials as well. So we don't pay for the material and we don't pay for labor. Maybe we pay only a little for labor if there's any technical things that a local contractor needs to work on. And so things like that help a lot with the support of the school and our students.
So the funds that people give into the big fund also goes to help those things?
No. So when people give to those to that fund, it goes to support the missionary pay and health care and all that. And it's all the missionaries, like I said. So if you have a specific ministry that you saw in the presentation that you want to be part of, you can specify that, and even as you are doing the donations, and we can provide that information to Christine so that she can share with you all where to send that money directly in Belize. Or we have also our personal account, though, which is in the US with Bank of America, because some of our partners failed to do wire transfers to our church account in Belize because they have an amount which they want to donate, but an additional amount to pay for wire transfers, it becomes complicated for some of our partners, and they end up using our personal account because they directly deposit the actual amount, and we are able to get it with an ATM and give it to the church in Belize. Yes, so I'll share that information with you all through Christine.
We wanted to send 100 backpacks,
Yes.
10 computers. We do that?
Yes, you can do that. We have, unfortunately, the access that you guys have to companies like Amazon and stuff like that, we do not have those luxuries. So what we do is there are Belizean citizens that are also citizens in Belize, and so they are in the US, and so they live here in the US, and they have established shipping companies that get things from here and take them to Belize. So every 3 weeks or every 4 weeks, depending on which company. And so we have our the company that we use, is based in Houston. So whatever you have, it can be in bulk, and you ship it to their address in Houston, and then they will bring it to us in Belize, no matter how bulky it is.
I saw one of your bullet points said wish list.
Exactly. I didn't talk about that. I'm so thankful for you. You were observing that. So the wish list had computer, Bibles, and with Bibles, it can either be English or Spanish. We use both because our community in Corozal especially, the majority are Spanish speaking, even though the country is English. And backpacks, school supplies, and all those things. Yes, please.
I just have a general question. Do the children go to school year-round, or is there a time that they have off with their families?
All right, we have summer, breaks. They go on break. This June, they'll be going on break. So the whole July and pretty much the whole August, at the end of August or the first week of September, that's when they open. And then they have 2 weeks for Easter holidays. They don't go for spring break, they go for Easter vacation. And also we have another month, it's like 2 weeks or 3 weeks for Christmas and New Year break. Yes, so it's 3 months in total off of school, and then 9 months in school. Yes, please.
I've spent some time in the Caribbean, specifically Puerto Rico and also Cordoba, and Christmas and Three Kings are big holidays.
No, for us, it's Christmas and Easter. Yes. Christmas and Easter, they are big holidays. Yes. Of course, Independence also. They don't have, it's supposed to be Independence Day, but pretty much the whole month is full of celebrations. Yes.
You don't have any snow days, though.
No. Unfortunately, we would love to have some. It's always sunny and hot. Yeah. The goodness with our parsonage is that our whole church property at Corozal is by the sea. So even though we don't have AC in our parsonage, we just leave our windows open, and the breeze from the sea, keeps us fresh at night. Yeah. Yes, we experienced that from June to November. Yes, yeah.
Great. Well, Charles, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
speaking.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
You'll be hanging around here a little bit more. I know some people have a meeting here at 7, but we really appreciated hearing from you. So much joy and life you bring to ministry and to the United Methodist Church, so we thank you so much for your service.
You're welcome.
Thank you. He'll be sticking around, so feel free to talk to him a little bit, but I do also want to say a big thank you to Dave and Jan Tkach, who are hosting Charles while he's in Marcellus, both tonight and tomorrow, so thank you to the Tkaches.